ever wish you could find a circle of successful business owners who just openly share what they did to get where they are? Challenges, perspectives, tough decisions, the good, the bad, the strategies, what worked and what definitely didn't? Because if you could, that would make your journey as CEO of your own small business a million times easier and less lonely. Welcome to Reaching Abundance. This is the only podcast where you get weekly cliff notes about developing mental fortitude from successful business owners who have positioned their podcast as the marketing arm of their business. I'm your host, Virginia Elder, fellow business owner and abundance enthusiast. Listening to this show will help you step up, play big, avoid pitfalls, and shift into a growth mindset as you build and market your business and pursue your own definition of abundance. Welcome back to the fourth episode in this mini-series, and thanks for tagging along during the past few weeks. I hope you're feeling better about where to start, what you need, and how to structure your video-based podcast to grow your business. Today, we're diving into one of the most crucial aspects of podcasting, setting up your recording environment. Whether you're recording solo, hosting interviews, or bringing guests into the mix, the way you prepare can make or break the quality of your podcast. Preparation is everything when it comes to delivering high-quality audio and video. It not only ensures your content looks good and sounds professional, but it also helps you feel more confident and comfortable behind the mic or in front of the camera. So let's make sure you've got everything in place to create a polished and engaging podcast that resonates with your audience. Let's kick things off with the essentials, what equipment you'll need and how to set it up properly. Let's start with the most critical piece, your microphone. A microphone is absolutely non-negotiable. Your laptop or phone mic just won't cut it for a professional podcast. You need a dedicated microphone that captures your voice clearly and crisply. I recommend, for simplicity's sake, you find one that plugs into your computer with USB and has a simple on-off switch, very similar to the Samsung Q2U. If there are more controls, like on a Blue Yeti, for example, read the directions and talk to your editor to make sure the settings you've chosen are best adjusted for your environment. It's actually pretty easy to get it wrong. When speaking, the microphone should be about 3 inches from your mouth. This distance helps to keep your voice clear without picking up too much breath or background noise. And trust me, a mic stand or an adjustable arm is your best friend here. It keeps the microphone stable and at the perfect height so you're not constantly adjusting or accidentally bumping it, which could cause unwanted noise in your recordings. Next, let's talk headphones. These are a must if you're conducting online interviews. When you and your guest wear headphones, they create a closed loop of sound between you and your guest, meaning the audio stays between your ears and the mic, preventing anything from being played out loud, which can lead to mic bleed. Mic bleed happens when your microphone picks up the sound coming from your computer speakers out loud, which creates an echo or other audio issues that actually degrade the quality of your recording. Yes, editors can work magic, but this is something that is really difficult to fix, so it's better just to have it recorded properly up front. When it comes to choosing the right platform for recording, Zoom just isn't designed for high-quality audio or video. We do not accept Zoom recordings from clients. Instead, I recommend using platforms specifically designed for podcasting like Riverside or Squadcast. These platforms are built to provide higher quality recordings, giving you the professional edge you need. With your microphone, headphones, and recording platform all set up, you're well on your way to capturing great content. But the setup doesn't stop there. How you record in different scenarios, whether solo or with guests, online or in person, is just as crucial. So now that you've got your essential gear in place, let's dive into recording techniques that vary depending on your setup, whether you're recording in person or online. We just touched on the software I recommend for online recordings. Aside from a good camera and a few of the tips I'll mention in a moment about how to position yourself on camera, you're all set up. For you in-person recording people who plan on recording in the same room as your guest, whether you're in a home studio or a professional studio, the good news is that headphones aren't necessary, but microphone and camera positioning become absolutely crucial. You want to make sure your microphones are positioned to capture clear audio from everyone involved with one microphone per person. Ideally, each mic should be about 3 inches from each speaker's mouth, angled slightly to avoid picking up too much breath. And if you're using multiple mics, be mindful of their placement to avoid any overlap or interference between the electronics because of their cords crossing or being too close to each other. Next, let's talk cameras. Whether you're recording solo or conducting an interview, how you position your camera can make all the difference. For solo recordings, a good rule of thumb is to keep your mouth in the center of the frame, allowing for proper headroom. This helps create a balanced and professional look. While full body shots are trending lately, YouTube analytics often show that viewers prefer closer framing, where they can clearly see your face and expressions. But ultimately, you should choose what feels right for your content and your audience. For in-person interviews, I recommend using a 3-camera setup. One camera should capture both speakers in a wide shot and be directly across from both of them. The other 2 cameras should focus solely on each speaker in a crisscross pattern, with each camera directly across the table from its subject. These 2 cameras focused on an individual will provide those close-up shots that are so effective in conveying emotion and engagement. If you were to diagram out a 3-camera setup for an interview, it would appear that the camera's lenses were crisscrossing across the table. The right camera would be focused on the person on the left, and the left camera would be focused on the person on the right, while the center camera is focused on both people in a wide shot and captures both guest and host in one frame. With your microphones and cameras positioned just right, you're almost ready to hit record. But before you do, there's one more crucial aspect to consider: your lighting and environment. Soft, filtered lighting behind the cameras is key to achieving that polished, professional look. Harsh lighting can create unflattering shadows and highlight imperfections, so avoid overhead lights as they tend to cast shadows under your eyes and chin. Definitely not the look we're going for. Instead, position your lights at eye level or slightly higher, about 4 feet away from your face. Again, behind the camera. This setup helps illuminate your face evenly, giving you a more natural appearance on camera. Now let's talk about natural light. If you're recording during the day, take advantage of any windows in your space, but be strategic. Windows should be in front of you if the sun is shining in, not behind you. because backlighting can create shadows, making you appear as a dark silhouette and distracting your viewers with what might be going on outside. Also, stay away from direct light. If the sun is shining in directly and strongly, that is going to come across as a little bit too harsh and will also create shadows where we don't want them. So, always position yourself facing the light source and using soft, filtered, natural light whenever possible. Now, let's talk about your recording space itself. Before you start recording, make sure your cameras are fully charged. Ensure your SD cards have enough space. Double check that your microphones are connected to your computer or an audio interface like a PodTrack or Procaster. Trust me, there's nothing worse than getting halfway through a recording only to realize that something wasn't on or set up correctly. Here's a pro tip. Always do a quick test recording. Spend 1 to 2 minutes recording a short clip, upload it to your computer, and give it a listen. This simple step can save you from potential headaches later by catching any audio or video issues before you're in the middle of a full episode, especially if you have a high-profile guest scheduled. Now that your setup is perfect and your environment is dialed in, you've got your lighting, you understand camera positioning, let's talk about how to bring your best self to the camera. On-camera confidence is key to delivering your message effectively, and I've got some tips to help you look and feel your best. Let's start with posture. Whether you're sitting or standing, make sure you're upright and your shoulders look relaxed. Good posture not only conveys confidence, but it also helps with voice projection, making your delivery stronger and clearer. And here's a tip. Treat the camera lens as if it's your best friend. Making eye contact with the lens, not with the preview screen or your computer monitor or your guest's face on your screen, but with the camera lens specifically, creates a connection with your audience, and it makes them feel like you're speaking directly to them. Feeling a little nervous? That's totally normal. I recommend practicing some deep breathing before you start recording. It helps calm the nerves and ensures your delivery is steady and confident. Next, let's talk about facial expressions and body language. Your face is one of your most powerful tools for communication, so use it. A slight smile can make you appear more approachable and engaging. Expressive eyes can convey emotion and keep your audience hooked. Natural hand gestures are great for emphasizing points, but be mindful not to overdo it. Too much movement can be distracting. Pretend like your most supportive friend is inside the camera lens cheering you on. Express yourself like you would if they were right there with you in person. Now, let's revisit camera positioning and framing. We've already talked about keeping your mouth in the center of the frame to allow for proper headroom and focus. But also, make sure your chair or standing position is adjusted so that your eyes are at camera level. If your camera is up high, you end up speaking up toward the camera, which visually diminishes your authority. If your camera is positioned too low, you end up talking down to your followers, and you can accidentally come off as demeaning or as if you were wagging your finger at them. Positioning the camera at eye level allows your followers to feel level with you, which enhances engagement and makes your delivery feel more personal. When it comes to framing, consider opting for a closer shot where your face and upper body are clearly visible. This tighter frame makes it easier for viewers to connect with you as they can see your expressions and your gestures more clearly. Some additional advice I received from a body language expert is to allow your hands in the frame. As part of our evolution, we naturally trust someone more when we can see that they aren't holding anything dangerous. With your on-camera presence polished and ready, you're almost ready to start recording. Before you hit record, let's go over some podcast recording best practices to ensure your session goes smoothly. First, microphone etiquette. Did you know that was a thing? Something to be cautious of is your breath. Yes, I know you have to breathe, especially as you're speaking, but it's easy to accidentally breathe directly into the mic, which causes that poof sound, or as if you were outside on a windy day. To avoid this, try to angle your breaths slightly away from the microphone. Another handy tool is a pop filter or a windscreen. These reduce those sharp plosive sounds that happen when you say words with hard consonants like P and B. It's a small addition that makes a big difference in the clarity of your audio. Next, let's address handling mistakes made during recording. Mistakes happen, and when they do, don't let it throw you off. Instead of getting frustrated, just pause, take a deep breath, and recompose yourself. Then restart the paragraph or a thought from a point just before where you made the mistake. Try to ensure that your body is in the same position and that you're making a similar expression with your face. Editors look for these spots to make cuts, and if you back up slightly, reposition yourself, and repeat some of what you said with similar expressions, it makes for a seamless edit that viewers won't even notice. It's totally natural to slump your shoulders or take a deep breath or toss your head to the side when you're frustrated that you made a mistake. If you do that, again, take a deep breath, relax, reposition yourself, back up a little bit, and start that sentence or thought or paragraph over. Now, if you're working from a script, here's a tip for keeping your delivery natural and engaging. We want you to actually look like you're not reading a script. It's super, super easy to fall into the trap of reading a script and delivering with a monotone voice. But that's the fastest way to lose your audience. Instead, use facial expressions and let your voice reflect the excitement and passion you feel for the content as if you were coming up with it on the spot. A little bit of acting goes a long way in keeping your listeners engaged and your delivery authentic. With these best practices in mind, you're well on your way to a smooth recording session. But before we wrap up, let's talk about managing distractions and touch back on the environment and recording space piece. How can you avoid unwanted noise in your recording? Even the smallest sound can be distracting, so it's important to identify them and eliminate them before you start. Wear clothing and jewelry that doesn't clink or make noise as you move. Bangle bracelets or dangly clanky earrings are a big no-no. Also, avoid nervous habits like tapping on the desk, clicking a pen, or tapping your foot. Any nervous movements during recording can actually be picked up by the microphones. And don't forget to silence notifications on all your devices. Another thing I want to add here is to choose a chair that doesn't squeak. It's all about creating a quiet, focused environment where nothing distracts from your voice. Next, think about what I call peripheral noises. Fans, fountains, any noise-making devices in your house if you are recording at home. Could be a dishwasher, washing machine, could be the lawn people outside or the next door neighbor's construction. Any interruptions or external peripheral noise like that can be picked up in your recording as background noise. If at all possible, recognize the schedule of the lawn mowing crew that, takes care of the neighbor's yard and schedule your recording sessions around those times. You might even need to put up your dog or close your office door, whatever you need to do to avoid potential interruptions. A little planning here up front can save you a lot of frustration and interruptions later, especially during your recording and or editing process. Now, let's make sure your space looks as good as it sounds. A clutter-free and visually appealing recording space isn't just a nice to have. It's essential for keeping your viewers focused on you and your message. Consider incorporating some greenery to add a touch of life to the frame, and make sure that whatever's in the background or beside you or in the frame is relevant to your podcast topic. This helps reinforce your brand and keeps the visual distractions to a minimum. With these elements in place, you're ready. You've got all the tools, the setup, the confidence, and you've diminished your distractions, so you're ready to deliver great content. As we wrap up, let's recap and look ahead to what's next. We talked about the essential equipment setup, making sure your microphones and cameras are positioned correctly for the best quality. We discussed recording techniques for different setups, whether you're flying solo or hosting guests. Then we moved into on-camera coaching, where we focused on appearing confident and engaging in front of the lens. Notice I said appearing confident. Sometimes you have to fake it till you make it with this confidence piece with the camera, okay? That's all right. And finally, we covered how to manage distractions and create a visually appealing recording environment. Remember, taking the time to prepare properly before hitting that record button is crucial for ensuring the best possible podcast quality. The more effort you put into your setup and preparation, the more polished and professional your final product will be. Before I go, here are a few additional pre-recording tips to help you get ready. First, consider some vocal warm-ups before you start recording. This helps ensure your speech is clear and strong, giving you that extra bit of confidence. Also, don't forget to stay hydrated and comfortable. Your vocal performance is directly impacted by how you're feeling physically. And finally, take a few moments to relax and mentally prepare for what you're about to deliver. A calm, focused mindset can make a huge difference in how you come across on camera. Next week is the last of this 5-episode mini-series, and we'll be talking about possibly the most important piece of podcasting for business, ROI. You're putting this time, money, and energy into delivering great content, structuring your episodes with clear calls to action, and learning all these best practices so you look and sound amazing on camera. It's important you see results from your hard work. Stay tuned to learn how, where, when, and in what ways you may see ROI from using a podcast as the marketing arm of your business. As this episode comes to a close, I'd love to know which piece of this conversation made an impact on you. Send a message to me at reachingabundance.com/convo. For your convenience, the link is in the episode description. This show is edited and published on YouTube and all podcast apps by podcastabundance.com, and we are taking clients. When you're ready to effectively and efficiently market your business using a podcast, book a call with me by clicking the Book a Call link in the episode description. Thank you for spending your time with me and listening to Reaching Abundance. I'm your host, Virginia Elder. I'll be back next week with another amazing guest to help you build your business, navigate mindset shifts, establish growth-oriented habits, and effectively leverage online marketing. In the meantime, keep up with me and my guests on Instagram at Podcast Abundance.